You are listening to Larry Conners, USA.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
This is Larry Conners USA. Larry Conners USA.
That cop protected that young girl. Now, we could talk about every case and talk about, well, what about this case? What about that case? But you can't, you got to talk case by case.
Well, let me ask you a question.
All those other cases might have been wrong, but in this case, that cop made a split decision to say, you know what, I'm saving this girl's life.
Do you really think that cop cared about that girl in the pink? Because if he cared about that girl in the pink, why would you shoot 4 times? She was right there. She could have got hit too. You really think he cared about that girl in the pink that much? If he cared so much, why didn't he look sad after it was over? Why did he say Blue Lives Matter after it was over? If he was such a good cop like you say, and he was just there to save lives, why was there no remorse?
We can move the goalpost on every time we talk about the story. We are. But now it's like, did he shoot right or shoot wrong? Okay, well, if he shot right, then how come he looked sad after? Well, how come after he didn't tie his shoes? Like, we can move the goalpost in every situation, but in that situation, that cop possibly saved that girl's life.
He did save her life. But once again, just because something is legally justified doesn't mean it's right. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't have been.
You just said he saved the girl's life.
What are you talking about?
You just said he possibly saved that girl's life.
Yo, absolutely. But once again, just because something is legally justified doesn't mean that it's right.
What? That is a very interesting conversation. We're going to get to that in more detail. This is April 30th, 2021. You heard 2 radio hosts in New York. One of them is DJ Envy, host of the Breakfast Club. The other, also a host of the same program, Charlamagne Lagarde. Charlamagne Lagarde is saying, he's saying that this was not, I think it's actually Charlamagne the God. I think I mispronounced that. But he's the one who claims that the officer shouldn't have been doing the shooting, and yet admits he did save the girl's life. Which was the point of the officer shooting? They're talking about the April 20th shooting when the officer, Nicholas Reardon, arrived at the scene where he had been sent because they had a 911 call that there's somebody out here with a knife trying to stab and kill people. He gets there, he just sees some girls pushing each other around, and he's going up, say, hey, what's happening? And then all of a sudden he sees a knife. He pulls his pistol then and tells everybody, get down. Well, the 16-year-old, Ma'Khia Bryant, has pushed a possible victim, up against a van who can't escape. She is now raising the knife. The officer shouted repeatedly. She either didn't hear him or was ignoring, and he opened fire. He fired 4 times at the body mass. Been on the force 16, 17 months, but he has military training. He saved the girl's life. Now, the key here is this was a white officer dispatched into a black neighborhood. Everyone involved is black. The girl he shot, black. The girl he saved, also black. I told you the other day the headline could read, white police officer saves the life of a black girl. No, that's not the narrative. And I can't believe that Charlamagne the God wants to push and continue to say, well, he didn't really do things right. You want to hear the rest of that conversation. It'll be coming up later in today's program. Also, Senator Tim Scott, South Carolina, Republican, being called Uncle Tim the other day, up on Twitter for hours after he made the response on behalf of the Republicans to President Biden's statement about what he's going to do for the nation. And Senator Scott, you're going to hear him say later, what the Democrats, progressives, and the state-controlled media are trying to do, not going to be good for minorities. They're not going to like it, and there will be a day of reckoning still to come. Also, a raid early this morning or the other morning on Rudy Giuliani's home, seizing documents, he said, I tried to give the government for 2 years. But the agents did not want one piece of information he had, documents involving Hunter Biden. Don't want it. You're also going to hear in the next couple of hours from Edie Heifel, Center for Renewing America. We had her on the other day with some details of this. She's back with more details on a Judicial Watch information that they got from the government of the USFDA buying aborted babies and baby parts from Planned Parenthood like you go in and shop for a cut of meat. It's not going to be an easy conversation. Abortion's not an easy thing to look at or watch, and it's a terrible thing in my opinion. It's wrong. I can find maybe a few cases where it might be acceptable, but the FDA, our own government, involved in buying parts, baby parts? We'll have that coming up. And as we're talking about what cops do right or do wrong, we've had more killed over the last 2 days. Do I hear anyone say their name? Lock and load. Ready on the right.
You can email Larry at LarryConnersUSA@gmail.com. LarryConnersUSA@gmail.com.